সুধীমণ্ডলী, এবারে বিশেষ অতিথির বক্তব্য প্রদানের জন্য দুর্যোগ ব্যবস্থাপনা ও ত্রাণ মন্ত্রণালয়ের মাননীয় প্রতিমন্ত্রী ডাক্তার মোহাম্মদ এনামুর রহমান এমপিকে সবিনয় অনুরোধ জানাচ্ছি।
Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Special Guest of this ceremony, Dr. Mohammad Anamur Rahman MP, Honorable State Minister for Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, is requested to kindly deliver his speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On the occasion of 4th session of the Regional Consultative Group on Humanitarian Civil Military Coordination for Asia and Pacific, the Honorable Chief Guest of this gracious world event, Her Excellency Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Cabinet Ministers, members of the newly elected Parliament, Mr. Chairs, diplomats, His and Her Excellency, representative from UNOCHA, UNRC of Bangladesh, guests from the other countries and organizations, military officials, media personalities, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good morning. At the outset of my speech, I would like to congratulate our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who has been named among the 100 leading global thinkers of the decades from 2009 by Washington-based Foreign magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, my heart pulsates in rich tributes to the father of nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who has left the great legacy of love and empathy for the people. In the tragic cyclone in 1970, the perished 1 million lives shocked Bangabandhu so much that he relinquished the election campaign and rushed to the storm-ravaged areas to stand by the people. After the independence, Bangabandhu underscored the global shared responsibility in coping with the natural disaster and demanded his address to the United Nations General Assembly to create an organization on disaster management. He himself created the largest organization of cyclone preparedness program to protect the livelihoods of the coastal people of Bangladesh. Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I feel delighted to call one of Bangabandhu's historic saying, "May the people of Bangladesh get food, clothes, and better living." In tune with the dream of her illustrious father, the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has taken all out stride to make people's lives better off and resilient. I take this opportunity to pay the deepest tribute to the father of nation, his martyred family members, along with 3 million martyrs in the War of Independence and 200,000 repressed mothers and sisters. This popular government's spectacular exception is to develop the country in upholding the values of the independence of the country in 1971. Dear guests, it is a great opportunity for me to welcome such an august gathering concerned in humanitarian response to climate and disaster issues on a global scale, witnessing the presence of luminaries like you, and it is indeed an opportunity for this gathering to get our Prime Minister, who has already been recognized as a sincere champion for climate change issues on behalf of the entire mankind. It is by no way an exaggeration to state that she has for over the years of proactive engagement with passion and empathy for Mother Earth become an institution by herself. Under her dynamic leadership, Bangladesh has successfully voiced global concern for disaster, mostly man-made. Let me pay due respect to the Honorable Prime Minister for strengthening the much-needed disaster risk management through appropriate and far-reaching policy direction, guidance, and lending her valuable time and attention to save lives and making the earth livable. She has lent a strong voice on a global scale to reduce the damage caused by climate change, and in recognition to her active engagement with environmental issues, she has been awarded with the high honor as Champion of the Earth by the United Nations Environment Program. She set a rare example of serving humanity by supporting 1.1 million forcibly displaced Myanmar Rohingyas in Bangladesh. She would always be in the front of rushing to disaster-affected people. For the global community, recognize her as Mother of Humanity. In case of any natural disaster like flood or storm, she would be found rushing at the hour of crisis and personally taking up the lead to minimize the loss of life to zero level. That keeps on inspiring the entire state machineries to get ever vigilant and remain always responsive to coordinate between the authorities and stakeholders. It was she who emphasizes the need of civil-military coordination in disaster management. Dear friends of humanity, Bangladesh is a country of enormous possibilities, but still many people live at risk exposed to multiple hazards that call for an integrated approach to address the root cause of the disasters, widening the scopes of both preparedness and emergency response. Bangladesh has successfully diversified its investment for disaster risk reduction and minimization of loss. With that approach being at the core, the risk minimization plans are being mooted. In the current 5-year plan period, all the ministries of Bangladesh are integrating the DRR into their respective development plan to translate the world shared responsibility into action. Dear guests, Bangladesh is grateful to all the member countries for electing it as the chair for RCG 4th session. Our heartfelt thanks to the participating countries for their commitment in emphasizing upon civil-military coordination in disaster risk management. From this session, it would be a high relevance to express our gratefulness to Her Excellency, the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, for providing us with deep insight into the area of disaster risk management and integrated approach to bringing down human suffering to a measurable extent. As I said earlier, she has already become an institution by herself, and this we witness at each crisis hour. But it weeping flood in the wetlands or riverbanks, land erosion and mudslide in the hills, or responding to humanitarian call like the influx of Rohingya taking shelter to Bangladesh from a brutal and barbaric ethnic cleansing in their homeland Myanmar. Every time, everywhere, and at each crisis, her instant, prudent, and sincere response brought all stakeholders and the world at large in a concerted response. Her leadership has been duly heightened the crisis to global concern and raised world attention into the situation with great empathy. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Bangladesh underscores the logical notion of combined civil-military coordination in matters relating to disaster management as espoused in the Disaster Management Act of 2012 that provides for the solid legal basis for civil-military integrated action approach. Bangladesh remains a model for many other regions. Despite the vulnerability of Bangladesh to cyclone and other natural disasters, the country has made significant progress in improving its disaster preparedness. Moreover, the country stands as a regional example of the courageous and resilient progress that can be made by a nation. And time-tested civil-military relationships stand ready to support the government if they need assistance at any given hour of calamity. These ties were tested in 2007 when Cyclone Sidr ravaged Bangladesh. However, this time the capacity and capability built within government agencies since 1996 dramatically reduced the devastation and loss of life. Close coordination between civil and military communities is essential for numerous reasons. First, it speeds response and recovery by utilizing the best and most appropriate assets. This allows relief personnel to reach devastated remote location with assets like advanced transportation, while other resources are used in both accessible and inaccessible areas. Coordination also prevents duplication of efforts and the waste of life-saving time and money. Finally, it promotes the timely flow of information down to assisting concerned authorities and agencies and ultimately to the people in the different communities. All these components add up to one outcome: lives saved. That is why, as we move into an uncertain future of stronger and more frequent disasters, without civil-military coordination, prior to a disaster would have become even more damaging. It saves lives before, during, and after a disaster leaves a trail of ravage and destruction. Distinguished participants, Bangladesh is establishing the National Emergency Operations Center, which would be equipped with the state-of-the-art technology. the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, along with the Armed Forces Division, has been organized Disaster Response Exercise and Exchange, DRE, since a couple of years. Besides, the Armed Forces Division has been formulating various courses at the Army War Game Center to develop capacity on civil-military coordination in mega disaster like earthquake. The Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief has established National Disaster Management Research and Training Institution. In near future, we are expecting course on civil-military coordination in this disaster management, more specifically on search and rescue operation, enhancing our national capacity in humanitarian response to natural calamities. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, next few days we will help us getting more equipped for humanitarian response to disaster by learning, exchanging, and sharing our experiences and expertise, building new bonding, raising fraternity and friendships, and excellent new strides and projects, boosting our knowledge base and exploring newer areas and domains of skills and strengths, all in the preparedness and specifically civil-military concerted disaster management approaches. The fourth session of RCG would go a long way in bringing these saviors of mankind under a more closely knit umbrella of a global texture. I hope you will enjoy your stay in this historic city and be overwhelmed with the traditional Bengali hospitality, which has never been imperiled by any aggression of calamity or disaster. I sincerely wish the fourth session of the Regional Consultative Group on Humanitarian Civil-Military Coordination a grand success, demonstrating one of the key global concern of times. Thank you all. Salam alaikum.
সুধীমণ্ডলী, অনুষ্ঠানের এ পর্যায়ে আমাদের আজকের অনুষ্ঠানের প্রধান অতিথি মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনার হাতে ক্রেস্ট তুলে দেবেন মাননীয় প্রতিমন্ত্রী ডাক্তার মোহাম্মদ এনামুর রহমান এমপি।
Ladies and gentlemen, now welcome crest to be presented to the Chief Guest, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, by the special guest, Dr. Mohammad Anamur Rahman MP, Honorable State Minister, Minister of Disaster Management and Relief of Bangladesh.
মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর হাতে ক্রেস্ট তুলে দিচ্ছেন মাননীয় প্রতিমন্ত্রী। এবারে মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর হাতে বই উপহার হিসেবে তুলে দেবেন দুর্যোগ ব্যবস্থাপনা ও ত্রাণ মন্ত্রণালয়ের সম্মানিত সচিব জনাব মোহাম্মদ শাহ কামাল।
Now books as gifts is being presented to the Honorable Prime Minister.
ধন্যবাদ মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী। সুধীমণ্ডলী, এবারে বক্তব্য প্রদান ও অনুষ্ঠানের শুভ উদ্বোধন ঘোষণা করবেন সর্বকালের সর্বশ্রেষ্ঠ বাঙালি, জাতির পিতা বঙ্গবন্ধু শেখ মুজিবুর রহমানের সুযোগ্য কন্যা, ক্ষুধামুক্ত দারিদ্র্যমুক্ত উন্নত সমৃদ্ধ সোনার বাংলাদেশ গড়ার স্বপ্ন সাধক, মাদার অফ হিউম্যানিটি এবং আমাদের আজকের অনুষ্ঠানের প্রধান অতিথি গণপ্রজাতন্ত্রী বাংলাদেশ সরকারের মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী শেখ হাসিনা। মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীকে তার মূল্যবান বক্তব্য প্রদানের জন্য সবিনয় অনুরোধ জানাচ্ছি। সুধীমণ্ডলী, মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী।
Esteemed audience, now the competent daughter of the greatest Bengali of 1,000 years, father of the nation Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the chief guest of today's inaugural ceremony.